Hello, everybody. Janet Beckers here from Romance Your Tribe Radio. And I'm really excited to introduce you to a beautiful friend of mine, Kayoko. I can never say your name, Mitsumatsu. Please correct me, Kayoko.
That's right. That's correct.
Now, what we're going to be focusing on today, even though Kayo has been a family friend for a long time, I invited her to come over and talk to you on the podcast because I have seen Kayo just recently, for me it's been recent, seen her doing an absolutely amazing campaign, a marketing campaign for her charity. And I really wanted to talk her to share with you how she has been running that to be able to get that visibility and that engagement. And also, I just want to introduce you to this beautiful woman. So that's why I've invited Kayo here. But what we're going to do is, first of all, we'll just introduce you first. Now, you may recognise that or notice that I introduced my beautiful friend here as Kyoto, but in our family, we've always referred to you as KO. So I will just have to, I think we're about the only people that call you that. Is that correct?
No, there are some others, but that's fine. This is the most cozy way to be called, right. So that's fine.
Yeah. But everybody else, you can use the formal name, okay? We'll just talk a little bit about how we know each other. So I had heard about this infamous KO long before we were actually introduced, because when I started going out with my husband, Douglas, we've been married now we've been together for, it'll be 35 years this year.
Wow. And
so around that time, I started hearing from his family stories of KO, and they were always these beautiful, warm, loving stories. And so, would you mind just sharing how your family and my family got to know each other?
Yes. So I had this very fortunate opportunity when I was 17 as a Rotary Club exchange student from Japan to be sent to Terrigal, Central Coast area, just north of Sydney, in a beautiful coast town in Australia, to stay with four different families for a whole year. And so I ended up staying with wonderful host families there. And one of them is your husband's Douglas Beckers' family, when Douglas was 17, I guess, because we were in the same grade in Arena High School in Terrigal.
Yeah, right.
And the family was so warm and welcoming, such a tight, family with love, really connected with love. And we had Glenn and Neil and Jennifer, and we were always like playing together and hanging out. And I had the best 3 months with them. And we kept in touch. And after maybe 25 years or something, the whole family, Douglas's family with you, they're now married, and then 2 children, teenager children, came to visit to US, where I live now, as a US citizen now. So that's the connection.
Yeah, and it was just so lovely to meet this. Really, there was this legend, I suppose, because they've had multiple exchange students over the years, but there was always this special space for KO. And you were right. I'm very, very fortunate to have married into a family where there is so much love. And so it was really, and the nice thing, I was actually over there. The reason we were there is I had been invited to go and present at a conference, the very first time I'd been invited to speak at a conference, and it happened to be in Los Angeles, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just said yes. And the fun part about that is I had actually had this big vision of also running like this one-day workshop, on the back end of this conference. But as it turned out, like, it was just, I didn't even understand how it works differently, the event industry in the US than here in Australia. So I ended up in this, having already paid this huge deposit for this event that I didn't end up running. And so, I thought, well, there's lemons, and the money was committed. So I thought, no, this is a great opportunity. So we ended up getting this private dining room in this beautiful posh hotel with our private waiters, with their gloves. And the kids were at either end and they were pretending they were like kings and queens. So it felt very, very Hollywood. And so we had, the two of you and the four of us, and we just spent every single thing I was going to spend on this one-day event on just totally lap of luxury. So it was some really special memories from that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was amazing dinner. Thank you so much.
It was really, really good. For me, that was better than a one-day event. That was really good.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So now let's talk about what you are doing now. So you have a charity that you have that is called Yoga Gives Back. So what I'd like to be able to hear from is why yoga gives back, and how did that start?
Yes. So actually, I don't know if you knew this, but as a profession, I have been a documentary filmmaker for Japanese National Public Television for over like 30 years.
Yeah.
So that's been my job. And in 2007, I moved here to Los Angeles early 90s. And I've been doing this documentary work since then too, as an independent. And I had a project about microfinancing and social entrepreneurship. Dr. Mohammed Yunus from Bangladesh just had received Nobel Peace Prize for his revolutionary microfinancing, which is giving very small money for the poorest people in the developing countries, and especially women who are making huge success getting out of poverty. So we were doing a lot of stories about Kiva.org. I don't know if you know, but they are raising $1 billion today. Yes, Kiva was our focus in Silicon Valley. So I have learned so much about this huge power of microfinancing. And I have always been like very athletic and loved exercise. So as a hobby, I just started yoga practice. And I just started Ashtanga yoga practice, which is very kind of physical and spiritual at the same time. I didn't know much about it. But so I was filming this documentary about microfinancing, and then I came home to Los Angeles going to yoga class, and I was doing every day yoga for about a year at that time. And I realized there were a lot of charity classes in the yoga world, even in 2007. There are much more today, many more. There was nothing that was focusing on the poverty issues of India, where yoga was from. Right. And I knew from my research filming about microfinancing that there was so much poverty in India. And there were some microfinancing institutions starting in India at that time too. So I talked to my teacher one day, how about giving back to India and using microfinancing? And it was very interesting. At that time, there were a lot of charities that was giving money to like cancer, HIV, breast cancer, and animal rights. But there was nothing that was focusing within the yoga community to give back to India. I didn't know that.
Right.
It was just my feeling that there was no charity classes about this. So I just asked my teacher, and my teacher just came back from India, so he really wanted to do this. So long story short, like everybody I talked to started liking the idea. And so that was 12 years ago. And now, so this 12th year, we are now in 20 countries. We have about 150 yoga teacher ambassadors and volunteers, hundreds of volunteers all over the world, who are just joining our mission of giving back to India. Our mantra is, for the cost of one yoga class, you can change your life.
Right.
And using microfinancing, as a platform. We are not microfinancing institutions. We are just a bridge. But we work very closely with two NGO, non-governmental organizations in India, which I visited and selected over the years. We work very closely with them. So I'll get into the program a little bit more in India, but that started. And then, so the interesting thing about this is I still film using my professional background, a lot of stories in India. I come back and edit in a very cheap way with my friends, and then put it online so that people can see where their donation is going. So it has just come all together. And as
Yeah.
a result of commitment, I had to quit my profession now, and this has become my 24/7 life mission last two to 3 years.
Right. I didn't realize that last part, KO. And, you know,
Yeah.
the thing that I love here for, and this is especially, I know people who are listening, a lot of the people who I work with, they're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurs are very good at seeing an opportunity, having an idea, but they're good at then making it happen. That's the difference. You know, an entrepreneur makes
Yeah.
it happen. So you've demonstrated, number one, that beautiful entrepreneurial thing of, look, to me, this is an obvious thing. I can't believe somebody's not doing it. Well, how can I make that happen? So for people who are listening, if you've been thinking about, you know what, I want to make a difference in the world, but it's going to be something that I will do later down the track when I've created all the success, and then I will have the money and I will give my money away, you know, that I will have to wait to make a difference. And yet I love what KO's demonstrated here, that it doesn't have to be, you don't have to wait. And it doesn't have to be that you have to go and create everything yourself, that you've done the really sensible thing of, well, who's already doing a great job on the ground in India? What can I do
Yeah.
that can
Yeah.
really rally a community of people that, you know, can see that logical link between the two? So if I just have to rally that community and then make sure that I've got good partners, then you can make it happen. So number one, I just love how that this is that you've actually taken that action and you've made it happen. It's just, you know, I hope that motivates people who want to make a difference and that keep on thinking that you have to wait. And the other thing that I think is a really important thing here is, I love how this is all tied in with what you do really well, which is documentary making, which is filmmaking. So not only did you discover this, but you've now been able to bring that skill into actually making it happen. So again, for people who are listening, you know, lessons that you can take from KO to using your own business is, you know, what's the skills I've already got? What am I seeing around me? And can I actually use those skills to even make that happen even better? So, yeah, I just wanted to stop and give you know, just for people to, because I want you to take action. When you meet somebody who, you know, has made something happen in a way that is based on such integrity, it's just so beautiful for you to be able to take lessons and actually go out and start doing some things that, like yourself. So that's a great story. Thank you, Ko. Now, let's look, you were going to say that you would go in a little bit more into how does you said something there that you'll go into a bit more detail on the programs. So was there something else that you wanted to add in there around how actually Yoga Gives Back works?
Yes. So it's very good summary, Janet. You know, I just wanted to say one thing. So it's not like I came in with a 5-year strategy. You know, a lot of times people say like you have to have a 5-year business plan, which I'm sure it's very good if you do. But I was doing a lot of documentary film working at that time when I started this idea. So I really didn't have time to think like straight. I just thought this is a good idea. Let's do it. And it just kept growing. So as a result, and I'm doing this for 12 years with all sorts of, you know, ups and downs, but in general, we've been growing like 35% for the last 30% to 35% last 6 years. It just told me like every year you learn something new and just don't ignore your new discoveries. So
Right.
I started this with the idea of microfinancing, but once I started going to India and working with our partners, I learned and I started meeting all these poor mothers who just got $25 to start a business. Everybody started to telling me that my dream is to have my child to have a better education, which I never had. It was very hard to hear that every mother told me, I don't want my daughter to live like me. I just didn't know that I was going to hear these kind of things. So, which taught me that year by year, I learned that, well, wait a minute, giving money to mothers is one thing, but ensuring, especially the girls whose education is completely ignored in many parts of India still, to ensure that next generation's change is another big thing we can do. And that's the goal. That's the dream of all the mothers we are funding with microfinancing. So we took that education for children and especially young girls as another big platform, which has been really empowering. And as a result, I think a lot of people start to also respond. A lot of women are interested in supporting girls' education today, and we are learning so much. So many things, like, I just posted about Oscar documentary about pads. A lot of young girls don't even have pads, and they can't even go to the toilet. As a result, can't go to school during the menstruation. So these are the details that we learn every year. Of course, we can't do everything.
Yeah.
But so it's very important to have some very close groups of people that I can trust, and like board of directors and my close friends who have been with us for all these steps. My husband is one.
Yeah.
I try not to process everything by myself. I used to initially, but now I learn how to not to take everything by myself and ask feedback. And the team is growing with so much passion, so I can now ask certain questions to certain people who have strength, and then learn and grow together.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Oh, look, they are such fantastic lessons. And you know what? I love, in terms for everybody listening on how the two things there that to me really, you've been doing this for 12 years. A lot of people may lose momentum over that time, and or they'll burn out. So I love there's two things that you were saying there, that, you don't have to have it all figured out beforehand. Just start and then listen to what people say. The whole idea of having the 5-year plan is, I've never been able to, it changes, and it's good. It's good to be able to adapt to what your market is needing.
Yeah.
And also that was such a powerful message that you had about learning that you can't do everything yourself, and that building that team, that support team, inviting a board of directors to help you. That is a really, really powerful, it's a powerful lesson for you to learn, and for everybody here to be able to take that. Don't wait until, until it gets overwhelming, bring in that help. So that's fantastic. So let's now talk about what got my attention recently, because I always keep an eye on KO every now and then. We might just spend a little message to each other, but she just seemed to be showing up all the time in my Instagram feed. Because, of course, we were friends, we were connected, but a lot of times you'll just see one or two things that a friend will be doing. KO just seemed to have this amazing campaign happening that not only that I could tell from a marketer was something that involved really motivating a whole group of people, and then building up a momentum of not just visibility, but also engagement. And so that's why I wanted to invite her along, because I thought, what is KO doing that I can see that the work that she is doing just seems to have expanded in its reach for people. There's been like a tipping point, a momentum that I could see anyway as a person who was observing. So what we're going to talk about now, and KO and I were working out beforehand about, a system, we'll talk about the steps, the key steps, so that you can then take that to look at what you're doing in your business. So this doesn't necessarily have to be a strategy that you can be applying to a charity. This can be a strategy that you can be applying to your own business. So we're going to sort of break that down into the success of the 1 Million Yogis campaign that you have been running. So could you just give us an introduction? What is the 1 Million Yogis campaign?
Thank you. So estimated 300 million people are enjoying yoga in this world today.
Wow.
Generating over $80 billion a year. So every year, of course, we want to try to tap into these resources and this population. And that's been the struggle and success at the same time, but we're still very much grassroots. So instead of trying to reach to 300 million yogis, we said, why don't we start with 1 million yogis? It's a very small fraction of 300 million yogis in the world. If we can reach 1 million yogis, if everybody gives $1, that's $1 million that we don't have.
Yes.
And that changed so many lives. And that's a very easy thing to do. If you can practice yoga, you can probably give $1, right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of idea we had before that. Even though we are still grassroots and trying to reach out to so many, yoga communities in the world to fundraise, it seems like there is a limit how much we can raise every year. So I started depend more on the annual gala where we can, suddenly raise a lot more money. But I really want this campaign to be a grassroots global community campaign that changes lives in India as a way to give back with gratitude. So it's very important to reach out to these yogis in the world who is benefiting physically and spiritually every day. So we start with what we just decided, let's start with 1 million yogis. And I think that kind of got a lot of attention. And where Janet, you saw us in January, we had a big 30-day yoga journey campaign where I was very fortunate. This is also a path, maybe some, it was not intentional, but I have been inviting influencers and yoga teachers from all over the world to join our mission. And very early on, one very famous teacher, Kino McGregor, has joined us as a board of directors for a few years, and that has been a very passionate sponsor for us. And she has like 1 million or over viewers or likes on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she has her own called Om Stars. And she does like 30-day yoga journey. And that this time they chose us, Yoga Gives Back, as a beneficiary. So what they did is Om Stars online yoga company hosted this 30-day yoga journey with Kino, who has huge followers. And on top of that, they brought two other sponsors who are already our supporters, Life Form Yoga Mat Company and Om Apparel clothing company. So every sign up, these companies gave $1. So as a yoga practitioner, you didn't have to pay, but these sponsors, 3 sponsors gave $1, donated $1, up to $15,000. So, and this went for a whole month. So people they had to post a picture of their yoga, every day they had to do some yoga poses, practices, which itself was a very beneficial thing anyways.
Yes.
So it was a win-win because yoga students could do yoga every day for free, just sign up, right? And we got $1 per sign up. And the sponsors were getting these emails and data from students. So it was a win-win for us. And we reached to $15,000 sign-ups at the end.
Yeah.
So during that month, I really thought about how can we make the best out of this opportunity, of course, right? So I usually don't, I'm still a little bit shy about coming forward in front of the camera, but I thought, wait, I have to do this. So I occasionally, every now and then, I just shared my mission and tried to reach out to all these people who are joining this campaign. And I think as a result, some teachers and some yoga studios are joining us. And this was and then you found us.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's a few things there. If I can take some of those key points that people can be using to, to be able to learn what worked there. There's a few things that I can see that were really, really important. Number one is you created a mission that people could understand, because to be able to have Yoga Gives Back, that has, in the name, you have an understanding. The concept of linking people doing yoga with, the birthplace of yoga, that makes sense. But that can still be a difficult thing to market. But you creating an actual mission where people can go, oh, there is a target. I want to be part of that target of 1 million yogis, because first of all, 1 million is it's a huge number, so it's really aspirational. But I love how you say it's only a small number, which is, I just love that. So for you, it's, I think I'm taking on a small bite, whereas for everybody else, wow, that is something big. I want to be part of that. So that's number one, is what kind of messaging can you be doing that is going to be really appealing to your target market, in this case, people who do yoga, to be part of a bigger community that they can identify through a mission. So I think that's a really important one for you to think about with this. I think for me, that really grabbed my attention, of 1 million yogis, because I thought, oh, there's a story behind that. I want to know why 1 million and what are they going to do? And then the other core thing there was identifying influencers, and not just going to them and saying, oi, you know, can you promote this for me? You actually created partnerships. So you talked about the win-win-win all the way through, because these were people who, they were passionate about it. So they were actually involved at a closer level. It wasn't just I can see you've got all these followers, so I want to hook into that. It was, we've got a shared passion. So that mission really helps there. So that's an important thing. A lot of times people try to plug into influencers, but they do it in a very selfish way. Whereas you've approached it very, very much of, we are on a similar path, a similar mission. We're doing this out of gratitude to the birthplace of yoga. So that's another really important thing, is that mission, you're bringing influencers in on that, not just seeing them as, as a ticket to get you there. And then the other thing that I also really loved was with that 30-day campaign, and this is what other people can be doing, is what can I be doing that's going to get people being part of something so they know it goes for 30 days. And the thing that got my attention is there was like a chart on one of the images of this is the pose for every day. There were like 30 poses, and then you saw people going to share, because everybody loves being able to share photos of themselves. That's what Instagram is about, especially if you're going to be doing it in yoga pants and doing it in a really nice place. But everybody knew, I'm doing this pose and this pose. So it gave them a reason for them to be involved with some structure around it. So I thought that was a really clever thing to do, because people, they want to be able to take part, but they need some guidance. They need some structure on how to do that, and then giving them free rein to, okay, now it's all about you. Which is there. And then the other thing that I thought was really clever was having a partnership. Is there a sponsor or somebody that can really benefit from this? Now, for other people, it may not be that it is the sponsor that is going to be the part of it. It might be a joint venture partner where you're doing something collaborative, where you both gain from having that that database. That you can be contributing as well, so that were key points that I could see that worked really, really well with this. And as you were saying that, you said you were lucky that there was one influencer that really took you on it, for that 30 days. Sure, there was an element of luck, but I would actually say it's not luck, because the way that you approached those relationships with joint ventures was very, very much about, we're on a key mission together. So of course they're going to want to support this. So I think they are really, they're the kind of strategies that you kind of did organically, KO, because you were doing it from a place of genuine gratitude and wanting to do things, and you do genuinely approach things in terms of relationships with people. So these are the foundations for building a tribe and positioning yourself as a leader in a tribe. So for everybody that's listening here, what points can you take from the way that KO's worked organically? How can you take that apart from, reverse engineering how it worked, to what can you be doing that in your own business or for your own mission? So you mentioned also, KO, about this is how long has this been going? Like for me, it's really became visible since the beginning of the year, which is only a couple of months, but you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's about 2 years, but so it's evolving. And this January, I'm glad, it was another big push thanks to this 30-day yoga journey. But now we're, like this Friday, we are just launching another big campaign for International Yoga Day, which is another very special day that United Nations proclaimed as an International Yoga Day to recognize the ancient wisdom and the gift of yoga for the world.
Right.
So very auspicious and, clear day for us to give back and with gratitude. So again, we've got about 15 big influencers already on board. For the first time, we're putting these faces on our landing page, and we are inviting everybody in the world.
Right.
On that day, 21st, or around that time, just give us $5 or host a class, whatever you can do. Let's do it together as a 1 million yogis campaign.
Yeah.
So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. I love it. So we'll be watching that one as well. So,
yeah. And please join us.
Yes. Yeah, so I'll be certainly helping to spread the word through social media as well, and through.
Thank you.
And I think the other nice thing for people to take away from that is sometimes when you might do a campaign, so it might be a marketing campaign, it might be a launch that you're doing of a program, it may start off with just small impacts, and it can be very easy for you to go, well, I did that for a month and it only got me a small fraction of what I wanted to do. So that's not going to work. I'll go and do something different, like different kind of campaign. But I really love that you just kept on tweaking, polishing. What did I learn that we can do better next time? And so that's where you get the 2-year overnight success when it comes to a campaign, or the 12-year overnight success when it comes to the visibility of a charity that you started 12 years ago. I think that's a really powerful lesson of if something is starting to work, instead of trying to create something new, how can I improve on this? How can I keep on making this work? Because I know with me, when I first launched my online video program, which is actually going to be getting relaunched later this year, the very first launch I did, I spent a lot of work and a lot of expense actually getting copywriters and things to do. I launched it and I made 0 sales. And and then the next time I ran it, I thought, no, I've got to tweak it. The message is wrong. The next time I ran it, I got $12,000. Then the next time I ran it, I tweaked, I got $40,000. And then it kept on increasing and increasing. But it would have been very easy to give up at 0. I think that's a really important lesson that a lot of people don't do is to don't give up too early. Make something keep on working. So that's, it says a lot about your mission that you're on, and also, your patience, your character to keep on going. So this has been, for people now to be able to support what you're doing, and to also see, where can they go to find out more about the 1 Million Yogis campaign, and where can they go to find out more about Yoga Gives Back?
Yeah, so the best way is just to go to yogagivesback.org. Yeah. And as of this Friday, we are launching this new 1 million new campaign, so people can join from right now. You can join too, but just go to our website or just join our Facebook or Instagram. We try to update as much as possible all the time with the global news, and from India also. Right.
Fantastic. So we'll also put those links to there on the page, the podcast page. Yeah, so that people can keep on finding them. And so especially if you're into yoga, and I know so many of the people listening to this will be into yoga. Yeah. This is a beautiful community for you to be part of. How special for you to be part of this, this mission of the 1 Million Yogis, and really giving back in a way that just, this is your tribe, basically. So it's nice to be part of that tribe. So thank you so much, Kayo, for number one, just really sharing such a fantastic story. And thank you for making such a difference to people who really need it. Like, you're making a big impact, and for being so open about, your journey with there and what's worked. Is there any last messages that you'd like to leave? Anything that you'd like to reinforce that we've been talking about?
No, I think, Janet, you really summarized everything so well. I'm very impressed. And if anything, I have just learned, I share this with my husband always, but passion and persistence, that's it. Like, there are a lot of wisdom everywhere, and you get, you read or you get some advice from different angles, But if you just continue, keep your passion and
Yeah.
your persistence, and things start to, work. Like I still want to do much more, but compared to like 5 years ago, some things like asking donations for like just freebie in kind, like snack bars or something for events, that has become easier.
Right.
Initially you have to explain and please give us, and so things get easier eventually. So
Yeah. That's a great message
doing
to
this.
end on.
Mhm.
That is a great message to end on. Yeah. You know what? And that's the big thing. It's, it's the people who end up being really successful in their mission and in their business. They're the ones that just did not give up when everybody else did. That persistence is so important. Thank you so much for a wonderful time. And for people who are listening, I really want to hear from you. Number one, go over, and if and when you're taking part in the 1 million yogis, I would love it if you come back and share with myself and with KO that you've taken part, and what that means for you. And I'd also, we would both love to hear from you if you've been able to take something that we've done from today and you've been able to take action on that, even if it's one small thing that you've implemented into your own business, or if there's something that you got going because you thought you had to wait later but it's happening now. We would really love to hear from you, because that means so much to us to know that you've listened and you have taken action. So please share that with us. It's very rewarding for us. Okay, thank you everybody, and thank you especially KO. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Namaste.